Hello, my name's Aidan, and I'll be talking about my creative critical reflection on my film. So the product we made challenges normal conventions in the simple method of misguiding the audience. Most normal films take the standard route of telling, then showing, especially just through a series of dialogue or actions. In the product we assembled, the audience thinks one thing initially, but based off the cuts, it leads to a different perspective for the audience. The main character that we established here represents every well-mannered part of what it means to be a big-time actor. The product also shows how people who are great and profound still suffer from the little things like loneliness, depression, anything that isn't shown behind or isn't shown in front of scenes. The daily issue of loneliness is one that affects everyone from time to time, and we wanted to put out there that just based off your status, you are not eliminated from life's difficulties, and it makes the main character feel more represented with younger audiences, as that's more profound in those social groups. Number 2, I wanted to talk about how the product that I made, it engages with the audience through a sense of power and suspense, especially in the beginning scene. The main character, who is a cowboy, is a actor who has a stern look in the beginning, definitely profound. He looks like he knows what he's doing. He's in a beautiful field, and beautiful Western music plays over the scene just to capture that Western mood. But as the product goes on, the audiences start to feel frustrated and annoyed with this main character, as we see the attitude towards the others shift, as he's rude, says comments that just wouldn't fly by in today's society. So it changes his general script right there and then. People feel eventually sympathetic, though, towards what he's doing as the scenes go on and on. As you see at home, he's alone, and that loneliness is his deepest regret, because he doesn't know how to cope. So he's rude. The product has messages that will relate with real media texts today that puts its presence as a remarkable status in my eyes, even given the restrictions. People could reference in shortcomings, but as well, it's a stellar idea, and its structure, I feel, fits what we were aiming for. Number 3, the production process was one that it took a while at first to start up. It was slow, as most ideas do. They take a while, but we carefully constructed a piece of media that separates it from the rest. The ideas, such as finding locations and proper costumes, came later, after idea management was done, as we had to look up, assemble, think of ideas for a good story that separates it. We had to scope out multiple areas of interest and eventually start filming. The filming process went much smoother as we finally started to see the vision. As our group, we had difficulties initially with visions and ideas, costume design, areas, settings, plot. All of it was at first a struggle to get towards, but we eventually got over that hill, and we figured out, once filming started, what we were aiming for. So the product then went into its final stage of editing, and this led to things like reshots and editing, of course, like I said, as we had to do final touch-ups to finalize what we were aiming to make. The reshots were parts of the film we made faster to meet our criteria for the time management, as we had to slim down some of the clips because we overshot a little bit, but parts of that was fixable, so we had to reshoot and construct new parts of the film. The editing was the final part, and this was handled the fastest, as we had multiple clips already available, so we threw in the clips together, spliced those together. Then the cuts and transitions were eventually figured out as we edited and started messing with multiple designs and functions of our softwares. Overall, the production skills only got better as the final idea became clear, and this is probably the same with most films nowadays, because most have to get going, but ours eventually met the mark, I would say. And in number 4, I wanted to talk about how we use software and hardware to make our film, amazing as it was, through my eyes. In this project, certain software was used to piece our product together. We used multiple editing software such as LumaFusion, CapCut initially to just get those clips on a device, then over to a better editing software that we can get deeper with, more cuts, better transitions, things like that. Mess with the lighting, obviously. We used multiple editing softwares to also just capture the full essence of a Western, because we wanted that Western theme initially to just be strong so people are captured by the idea. And we did this on a computer and used multiple smartphones. We used one camera for specific shots of the product. For when we're leaving the house, that house scene, we had to use a camera because we wanted to see the lighting more of the room compared to the entire house, as it was a grand and very important scene. But then the other parts of the film were used with a smartphone, as we had to get the shots quickly, and we had phones on our persons, so phones were just what we had on hand. We used our phones to design props as well, as we had to do research on proper costume designing and proper prop making to finalize the ideas before we got into production. And that in total sums up the film through its processes and its filmmaking. I'm Aidan, and this was my creative reflection.